What's going on, everybody? Welcome to S.W.A.T MMA. That's smoking weed and talking mixed martial arts. My name is Jarrod. I'm here with my co-host Paul.
What's up?
We are coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, and today is our 30th episode. Can you believe that, Paul? That's happened pretty quick, brother. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at UFC London, the Till versus Masvidal results. We're going to take a look ahead to next week's UFC Nashville, which is seeing Anthony Pettis and Stephen Thompson at a 170 weight. We're going to talk about the boxing events from last night, the great Errol Spence Jr. performance against Mikey Garcia. We're going to have our Fighters Who Smoke segment. And as usual, we're going to start today's episode with our Weed of the Week.
Smoke weed every day.
Paul just took a nice fat hit of this HHC Alleviate concentrate. This is some brand new THC concentrate that we got here from OMG THC. You can learn more about them at omgthc.vegas. We talk about them a lot on the show because they make killer products that we like to smoke. Now, this is a little bit different. HHC, what did you think of that? What did you think? It doesn't have any flavor, I didn't think.
No.
Like, there's really no flavor to it. It does have a 50% THC content in this, and there's no additives.
Give me like that, like relaxed feeling.
Yeah, it's got a bit of CBN, which is almost 5%, which is the part that makes you really sleepy in weed. There's a lot of new products coming out with using that as to help people get to sleep at night. But the main thing that's in this is HHC, which is kind of a synthetic cannabinoid. Not that it's added to anything, but it's something that's created in a distillation process. That they're doing a lot of testing right now. That they're saying the tests are showing it's equal almost to morphine in its pain relief properties. So this is one of the first products on the market to really incorporate that. You know.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not in a whole lot of pain. I had surgery last week or 2 weeks ago now, but it's nothing that is causing me, pain like that where I need to worry about heavy painkillers. But we've been smoking on this for a while, and I got to say, I'm feeling pretty chill.
Yeah,
like,
I just feel like relaxed.
Yeah, not like the normal high like you always get smoking weed, right? But just I don't know, a little bit calmer, a little chiller. Okay. I don't really have any aches and pains for it to take away. But I did do some research into this stuff, and there's a lot of legit studies being done on HHC. So if there's something that interests you folks, you can Google it. You can find out more about it. We got some other cool things we're smoking on. Paul's got some delicious shatter. What kind is that you got today?
Some sour diesel.
Some sour diesel. That's one of my favorite strains, bro. Sour diesel's bomb. Anything diesel is fucking killer for me as far as the flower goes. Yeah. Now, I can't hit that shatter today. I'm still, like I said, recovering from surgery. I don't want to risk coughing. I'm just not there where I can take some big-ass fat hit. But how are you digging that?
You already know.
You look pretty blazed. So. You look pretty blazed, sir. Me, I got some weed left. I'm still smoking on. This is actually a mixture of some that super glue that I had last week and a bit of the Miami Heat. So I mixed that together with a little bit of keef, and I'm just going to be hitting on this one hitter throughout the show today because it's nice and smooth, and I don't have to worry too much about coughing.
I feel it.
So that rounds out our Weed of the Week here. If you want to learn more, again, about OMG THC's HHC Alleviate, you can check them out, omgthc.vegas, or go to Instagram. It's at OMGTHC. If you're here in Nevada, you should ask for them in the stores. They got killer fucking products. So, man, we had quite a lot of unexpected action in the main event last night at UFC London. But I almost want to just wait and save that conversation and start a little bit lower on the card. What do you think?
Yeah, let's start lower.
Well, how about Dominic Reyes versus Volkan Ozdemir to start with? Like, we're talking about a 205-pound contest here.
It's a close one, but I don't know. I thought I gave it to Ozdemir 2 rounds to 1, but there was a couple of instances throughout this night where there was some shady judging.
It was a little questionable. I mean, we had Ozdemir coming off his title shot.
Yeah.
He's
coming off of the loss to Anthony Smith.
That's right, the loss to Anthony Smith, right? Yeah. One removed from his title shot, but is a title challenger. And we've got Reyes, who's a young up-and-comer, undefeated. I was thinking he was going to make a big statement.
Well,
Reyes.
here's the narrative
really
no
didn't
one's
happen.
talking about after this either, though, is now looking at a guy like Volkan Ozdemir, that's 3 in a row.
That is 3 losses in a row for him. Although this one was a little like,
Yeah, it's iffy, but it doesn't matter. A loss is a
matter,
loss on
loss,
paper,
yeah.
you know? So where does he go from here is the question. Does he... Because there's... like, light heavyweight's kind of in a renaissance as like a division, you know? Just because there's got a lot of new guys added in there. He's going to need to pick up like a legitimate win to really get himself back in the
I think he
mix.
needs to stay away from these young bucks. He doesn't need to fight a Johnny Walker or anybody else that's up and coming. He should fight a little bit more,
A little more age, maybe like
maybe Jimmy. Has he fought Manawa?
I was just thinking that too. We think so fucking similar. I was thinking the same shit too.
That's funny. If they haven't fought before, and I mean we could look it up, but I don't. It's not that big a deal. But I would think if they haven't been matched up prior, I think that would be a decent one. They're both coming off losses, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And they're both. That's a good matchup. Like a win over Jimmy Manawa would get him
Maybe like Shogun.
back in track. Shogun.
Didn't they already fight though?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one did happen.
Yeah. Either way.
Either way, Ozdemir is in dire need of a win, and I
Definitely.
think we both agree he should stay away from any of these young
These
upstart
big
fighters
guys,
that
yeah.
are coming in, and he should probably fight somebody a little bit more.
Maybe like a OSP or something.
Yeah, OSP. He's coming off a loss as well.
Yeah.
So something like that. But what about Reyes here? I mean, he gets the win. He
gets the win,
he
but it
stays
wasn't
undefeated.
too big.
I tell you,
I
he's
could
not
see
ready
him-
for John Jones.
Yeah, I could see him maybe getting like Corey Anderson next. Maybe like
I think Corey Anderson's a bit too much for him right now.
think
After
so?
that performance, yeah, I think.
yeah,
Corey
but I'm saying
Anderson's-
in the general scheme of things, you're not going to give him an older guy who's not as good.
No, he needs to
He
fight
needs a
somebody
serious
else.
test.
Yeah.
I think Corey Anderson's a serious test.
No, he's dead serious. Yeah, you're right. I don't
But
think he wins that fight.
here's the
after
problem with-
seeing last.
Now Corey
His last
Anderson's
fight.
left without a dance partner is the problem because he was out there petitioning for the Gustafsson fight. Gustafsson accepts that fight on Twitter, but then signs a contract to fight Anthony Lionheart Smith the next day. So that left Corey Anderson without anybody. So he's itching for a fight. So maybe like I don't know. I could see either Reyes or Johnny Walker fighting Corey Anderson next, just because he's trying to fight as soon as possible.
There'd be a good, strong test for either one of those fighters.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson's pretty legit. He's looked really good over these years coming off a tough. He's established himself a bit up here at 205. And,
Maybe give Dominic Reyes like Alir Latifi also, maybe. That's a serious test.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's a guy
fucking
who's
test
a
that
fucking,
chin.
you know? Yeah. That's an
Latifi, he didn't
older
look good
dude.
in his last fight, but, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. He's still a seasoned
He's
vet.
a seasoned vet that packs a lot of power.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that matchup. That's good. I'd like to see that one too.
I'd actually take a step back in the card also.
Sure. Yeah, we can bounce around.
I really liked that Nathaniel Wood performance.
That's
that
funny. I
was
was going to
really,
bring that up too. Yeah.
yeah.
I noticed some people shitting on that fight.
I don't
on
know
Twitter
why.
afterwards. I
Jose
don't know why
Quinones
either.
did look lost though. He from the get go. Remember, he like slipped in the first 5 seconds.
I read people shitting on the wrestling. Like, do you think
Oh,
that's
what?
legit?
I mean, it was real flip floppy, but that's just what happens when you're in those smaller weight classes sometimes.
Yeah, and it's MMA. It's not-
MMA.
it's not
Neither of those
wrestling.
guys wrestle. So, and also Nathaniel Wood was looking for a submission in every position. So, like when you're pushing for submission, sometimes you get reversed pretty easily. You know.
Absolutely.
So
I thought he looked good. I thought it was a good, strong statement.
Yeah, I thought so,
that
too.
kid looks to be legit.
he was a little sketch on his feet, but that could be he didn't look like lost on his feet. You know, he missed a few like pretty obvious right hands that if he would have just timed a little bit better, he would have knocked him out. But
Yeah. I
like
agree
he
with
was just
that.
throwing it a little too slow. But on the ground, he looked fantastic. I thought
I thought he did too.
his grappling was legit.
There's lots of interesting.
Keonis
fights
looked
he could
like
take,
shit, man. He looked like shit from the get go out there. Didn't he knock him down at one point?
I do believe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible by Keonis, but I don't know if it's that or Wood looked so good. It was one of those fights where it seemed like Quinones could have got back in at any point, but he just didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like he had like you could tell like he had a strange mentality going on like throughout the fight. You know, like he didn't look 100% in it from the get go. Is what I'm saying. He slipped like crazy amount of times. I've never seen someone.
Yeah, it
slip
was
that
also like
many times.
the cage was wet, like the floor was wet.
Seemed
or
like
something.
it.
It seemed like they were
Because like
slipping the fuck
yeah,
all
those
over.
fools were slipping every time they were throwing leg kicks. It's like, what are you doing? But yeah, that was I
What
like
other
that
fights
fight.
did you like on there?
I didn't
Anything
like this
stand
fight, but we pretty much got to go to this fight next. Is that Leon Edwards and Gunnar Nelson fight?
I was bummed for Gunnar Nelson in that fight. He just seems to start so slow. I feel like that guy should just fight 5-round fights because it takes him a fucking round to get going.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, I thought
His first round was sketch.
first round was sketch. He definitely, in my mind, he won the third. I mean, he ended the fight mounted. You
Yeah.
know. So bummer to see Nelson lose. Leon Edwards. I guess it's a good win.
Yeah,
You know, he's popping up into that
7 straight
upper
for him.
echelon here. Yeah, that's a lot of wins in a row. And it's kind of muddying up the water
Well,
here.
Speaking of Leon Edwards, let's just let's take a break on him and let's move to the main event. We'll come back to him. in
Yeah,
a
he
second.
ties into some things that we'll get into after the main event too. So the main event, you know, this took place in London. It was the big hometown showcase for Darren Till. Why did I say Hill? I'm high already. Darren Till. And dude, it was a good fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
He got slept by
Yeah, he hella got
Jorge
slept.
Masvidal.
But that happens, man. That happens. It was not like it wasn't him like not being in there. It's not like he got ran over. It was a real competitive fight. It just was a case of trying to grapple when got the strike thrown over his hands and got fucking
It
knocked
was
out.
good timing.
Yeah.
Masvidal had been moving in and out on him.
Well,
all
and
night
Masvidal
long.
was
Fucking kept it
constantly
up.
he constantly like challenged him in the grappling department. He shot a few shots, took him down. I think
Yeah, he
twice,
took him down. Yeah.
maybe once, twice. But so that's in his mind that he's like this guy can throw, but he's also grappling with me too. And Darren Till's not the best grappler, So I think that was in the back of his head, and he tried to stop the clinch and fucking got KO'd from it.
It was
2 perfect fucking punches by Masvidal also.
3. Yeah, it was a 1, 2,
Was it
3.
three? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The first one didn't really land too much, if I remember correctly. I don't have it in
That's
front
what
of
I
me
was
right
thinking.
now.
It was only 2.
But he hit him on the way down too, and then unfortunately Till, I mean, his head hit the fucking canvas really hard. Like that was
Yeah.
like pretty much another blow right to the back of the head.
Yeah.
But
Well, because he was
and he
leaning
was asleep.
forward,
Like
so
it was
he
a second round
fell
KO.
back.
It wasn't
Yeah.
even a TKO. It was a straight knockout. I
KO,
mean, Till
yeah.
was fucking slept. He didn't move for a while.
Yeah, they fucking he didn't even stand up. Like he wasn't there with like when he rose his hand. He was sitting on
he
the
was,
stool.
Yeah, he was. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I always feel bad for a fighter when that happens, when they have these hometown showcases like
Yeah,
that.
it sucks.
It was an electric arena. He comes out to his Neil Diamond song that everybody
Yep.
fucking loves, out there.
Seemed to make weight sort of easily, but he still weighed at 71, which is kind of means maybe that was as far down as he can get.
I agree with some things that we've talked about before off camera, where you think that Till is just getting a little bit too depleted. For
I
this
think
weight
he gets
class,
super
and I
depleted.
agree too. I mean,
I think at 185 he would have a resurgence.
he's got to do it now, right? He can't. What is he going to stick
I'd
around now?
imagine. Yeah.
Like he's killing himself to make the weight. And again,
Yeah.
it seems
And
like
there's
he did
big
okay
fights
at
for
this
him
time,
at
but-
85.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of big strikers at 85, And there's not anybody and honestly right now at 85 there's kind of become this narrative where it doesn't really matter what your body style is, you can still win big fights.
Yeah,
Like,
look at Kelvin Gastelum.
Kelvin Gastelum,
fighting for the title. and
Adesanya.
smaller than I am.
Like there's guys in like different body styles. Like you have Yoel who's like a big mofo,
Right.
but he's still kind of on the short side. And then you have Kelvin who's a little bit on the short side, and then Israel who's like a super long, like taller dude who's just
Got
skinny.
Costa. Look at Paulo
Yeah,
Costa.
like Paulo Costa is a fucking massive
It
motherfucker.
was like an action figure. Like
Yeah,
him and
so
Yoel
it's like-
together would be like
The A team, dude.
like a couple bodybuilders in there
Yeah.
fighting each other.
But you know
Yeah,
what I mean, though. Like I think he's worried that he might be like a little too small for 85.
he should be able to
but
look at
I
guys
think-
like Gastelum and put that to bed.
Yeah, I think he's good size for 85.
And you should be able to look at a guy like Masvidal, who's ultimately came up from 155, where he used to fight, and has had great success up here.
Well, I think that's
not
also
great. He's
been the
coming off
new.
2 losses,
I
but
also
mean,
think
he's-
that's been the new thing for guys who are in that in between. Because look at a guy like, shit. Of course, I'm gonna lose who I was talking about now. Chiesa. He just moved up to
Chiesa
70
moved
and
up,
had some a good performance. So it's like maybe a lot of these guys at 55 are looking at guys like that and they're going, man, maybe if I just do that, just to try it, just to see what happens, and they end up not having as much worry on fight week and not as stressed and being able to kind of more focus on training rather than and getting better than being on weight, because there's a difference between like a practice where you're learning shit and there's a difference between a workout, and a lot of those guys that are cutting massive amounts of weight don't have a lot of practices, they have a lot of workouts. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so tough. I mean, it's not like I came over from the boxing realm when I first started, learning about MMA and getting into it. And boxers just don't cut that much weight. You're not cutting weight
Dude,
like a fucking
I've
MMA
seen
fighter.
I've seen some
it's
terrible
crazy.
shit with weight cutting.
I mean, the most I personally ever cut was like 7 pounds. Like that's nothing. You know what I mean? That's water weight. You can go sweat that shit out in a couple hours. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
That's just getting
I
on
have
weight.
this friend who was on our wrestling team who tried to freaking cut like 20 pounds in 2 days. Showed up like the day before the tournament. His fucking skin was green, dude. They like took him to the hospital. Like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, he tried to cut that in a day.
Like, look like Chris Weidman when he fought Damian Maia on short notice.
Oh, he looked like
came
shit.
And he cut, I think it was 36
Look at Connor when he
pounds
fought
in 7
Aldo.
days.
Look at Connor when he fought everyone at 145.
Yeah.
He looked like shit, dude.
Dude, we'd be at those weigh-ins looking at him like,
Oh.
is he going to die?
Yeah. You think
know
if he
what I
had
mean?
to, you think he could make that weight again?
No,
Ever?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
He's living the good life now.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, he's obviously staying in shape, but he's packed on more muscle, and he's definitely.
I don't think it would be possible, yeah.
No, but we've got this string of these guys doing that, and I think you're right. I think Till needs to definitely move up to 185, and I don't think that's the reason Masvidal knocked him out, but I think it probably plays somewhat of a role.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, nothing against. I mean.
Now,
Masvidal, but
Masvidal's
he's not
got
really known.
hands,
He's
dude.
got hands. He can scrap.
He's always
a hell
had
of a fighter,
hands.
but he's not like not like you think of Mike Perry and you think of him as like, okay, there's a knockout artist, like there's a dude coming in.
Nah,
and
Gamebred's got fucking.
He's got 17 knockouts and 35 wins. I mean,
Yeah,
that's not,
no, but I'm
that's
saying,
not a
like,
few,
he's
but,
got-
I mean,
he's got like volume hands though. Like he's not.
Yeah.
He's a guy who hits hard and he's gonna hit you a lot.
yeah.
You know what I'm
so he's
saying?
not like the one punch KO guy. So
Yeah, but still, he can do it.
I mean, no one is
he's done it
expecting
in the
that.
past.
he has absolutely, but fucking. Now we've got a real interesting picture because we've got him. I think he's calling for a title shot like he should, but I don't think that based on his record and in his last 3 fights and his 1 win, he's earned a title shot.
Nah, I
because of
think
that.
we heard it wrong. I watched it again after we talked about this, and he said he doesn't want a title shot next. He said he just thinks that no one else can. He's gonna fight for the belt in 2019.
Well, we've got Kamaru Usman's shitty ass manager Ali
No,
Abdulaziz
you know what?
calling up Brett Okamoto personally and saying
Yeah.
that's who we want to fight. We want to fight him for the title. A guy who's literally I'm not disrespecting George at all, but let's be real. He's 1-2 in his last 3. Like he's lost 2 of his last 3 fights.
You know what I feel bad for though? I feel bad for all the guys like from probably like 6th ranked and on that are on the come up right now, like Leon Edwards and people like that.
Yeah, Leon Edwards won
Because
7 fights in a
well,
row
no,
now.
no, you know why?
You know.
Also, is Kamaru fought all those guys,
Yeah,
and he fucking beat all those guys.
he beat them back.
He already beat
Fought a lot of
Leon
these
Edwards.
strange
It doesn't
ass
matter
people.
how many
Yeah.
he's
No,
put on.
I'm not calling for Leon to get a title shot. I'm just saying like
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Though there's only about 3 guys that he needs to fight, and it's like Askren, maybe Masvidal, and Colby. Those are like the only 3 he really hasn't fought. Maybe Robbie, but I just don't see Robbie really getting back up there. He already beat RDA, Ponzinibbio I don't think he's there yet either. So it's like
He needs a fight against somebody else up there.
like in a division that was just filled with sharks recently, I feel like right now people are starting to separate. You know what I'm saying? Like there's levels now.
Well, a lot can change. I mean, look how quickly people were like light heavyweight, for example. People were saying that there's no one for John Jones to fight, and all of a sudden there actually is. Admittedly, they may not challenge him, but there's action there, and I think that it could happen pretty quickly in welterweight too if he gets out there and he fights Colby and he fights fucking Askren, and and then whoever might come up out of the ranks. By then, we might have a little bit more clarity on some other shit as well. Maybe Masvidal will fucking reel off another win. And personally,
I think Masvidal is fighting Leon Edwards next.
I think they got to do that fight. Like, if you're listening, folks, and you didn't hear, let's set the stage real quick. So, after the fight, Masvidal is giving a post-fight interview backstage, mind you. No one is around. The public's not around. Backstage on ESPN, and Edwards walks by and starts talking shit.
Said I'm going to knock you out in July.
I'm going to fuck you up in July. Come on, July. And Game Bread, and Masvidal is like, what? Say it to my face, say it to my face. And then he leaves the interview and chases Edwards down, but he's got his hands behind his back. Like, clearly, it's a non-aggressive move. I mean, he even said he did that on purpose. He's got his hands behind his back. Goes up to Edwards, and then Edwards, he puts his fucking dukes up, as they say back in the day. He puts his fucking hands up and starts advancing on Masvidal. Masvidal, what does he do?
Hits him with a 3-piece in the soda.
Hits him with the 3-piece in the soda, like tags him with the 1-2-3 combo.
And then fucking all his little homies that tried to fucking swing on Masvidal before he got out of there, like, hey, that's assault.
Yeah, literally, he cuts his face.
Yeah, he busted his
He turns away, and Leon Edwards' face is busted up. His boy's got to tap, start brushing the blood off his fucking cut-ass cheek from talking shit to Masvidal, who then heads back to...
Yeah, he's a beast, dude.
And security broke that up after that, but yeah.
I don't know.
So, I'd say there's history for that fight now.
Yeah.
And I think Masvidal...
I don't know if that was the best idea for Masvidal. Just like, if he did that anywhere else in the world, he'd be fucked right now. Not condoning what he did, but it was pretty funny to watch. Because a lot of people are comparing it, like you said, to the Khabib thing. But yeah,
and I think that's a terrible comparison. I mean, Khabib jumped out of the cage in a purposeful move to attack fighters.
Yeah, but George Masvidal also ran up on him. What do you think was going to happen? He was just like, hey, man, we're going to fight. Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
what is he going to do, dude?
Exactly.
Bro, you're telling me you knew if George Masvidal in the past, let's just look at his past. How many times has George Masvidal gotten into altercations outside of the cage that have almost turned into fights?
I think if you put your hands up in that position, if you're watching me on camera,
no doubt.
You put your hands up to a man, you're going to hit a man.
I'm not saying.
Especially you do that to a man whose hands are being held behind his back.
No, I see what you're saying. I'm not saying what he did was like egregious or anything. I'm just saying that he could have gotten a lot of trouble there if he was anywhere else.
Yeah, no, there could have been a commission interfering, but they don't have to worry about that in London. Absolutely, the UFC's not going to do nothing. But I think the comparisons
Dana
to what
White
Khabib
blamed the
did,
security.
the comparisons to what Khabib did are retarded because what Khabib did was stupid and foolish.
Yeah.
And he paid a price for it. This shit was backstage. It was a one-on-one, and a man advanced on him with his hands up. I mean, you can say he shouldn't have done it, but it's different than just flying off the cage to attack people standing there in a crowd.
George Masvidal's a thug, though, dude. He's a beast.
Dude, he's a fucking...
He's a gangster, dude. He doesn't fuck around.
He doesn't fuck around at all.
He really doesn't. He plays zero games.
This is a man. A lot of people might not know the history on George Masvidal. Like I mean, there's YouTube fights from him back in the day, fighting in Backyard Miami. In the Backyard Miami YouTube
fighting some
fight
big
scene.
motherfuckers too.
Yeah, like he's a scrapper from back in the day.
Yeah,
like his I think he's 36 now, and
no, he's 34 and 13.
13, something like that.
34 and 13.
He's got over 40 fights.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count his...
He's
I'm
fought
sure that doesn't count his backyard fucking
everyone.
brawls. Like
he's fought so many people.
He's a fighter's fighter. He's a fucking motherfucker.
Yeah. He's a gangster.
Yeah. He's a real
But yeah, I think Leon Edwards and him have to fight now. You can't just 3-piece somebody and then not fight him.
No, and I think that's perfect because Leon Edwards is on a big win streak. He's legit. He's top 10 ranked. And there's some history there. I don't think he jumps into a title shot. I think that's silly.
Yeah.
Till, we both agree he needs to go up to 185. But
Where does this leave Ben Askren?
Yeah, that kind of moves us into our next topic. It kind of wraps up UFC London, and it moves us into this welterweight title picture, which is a direct consequence of UFC London, right?
Yeah.
Because we got Ben Askren there calling for a winner because he wants somebody before that title shot. We got Masvidal. The media is trying to push him into a title shot, which there we got Colby, promised a title shot in a sporting sense, should definitely get it.
But then recently there's been a lot of people in the media space talking about that not so quick, that they don't really think that's going to happen.
I just have to say, and I am not some cheerleader for Colby Covington. That chaps my ass. Like, at what point do we stop with this interim? We're just going to, like, fuck over interim title holders over and over and over again? Like,
he was actually stripped of that shit.
He actually hasn't been officially stripped.
I'm just kidding.
Like, which is so funny. They say he's the X, but he's not. There is never the, like, he still parades around with the belt. They still, some of the fucking rankings still have him as the interim champ.
Yeah.
Media outlets still, I mean, they just called him the interim champ on MMA Junkie the other day. I'm going to be pissed the fuck off if Kamaru Usman doesn't fight Colby Covington next. If you can kick his ass and shut him up and then
what
move on.
What if they were to run the Woodley fight before that back?
Woodley got his ass handed to him so badly, I don't think you can possibly give him that instant rematch. If it was competitive, then yeah, I think you would. If it was some competitive
but
fight,
he also
yes, he
very clearly laid an egg.
Yeah, well, life sucks sometimes. You fucking lay
They're
eggs.
gonna fuck him over so bad, dude. Like, he's gonna have to fight.
Dude, I don't want him to get fucked over. I like Tyron
He's gonna
Woodley.
have to fight everyone to get back to that title.
I think he legitimately should have to fight like
one person,
and it should be.
Dude, he fucking held the title. He had 5 title defenses.
And if that had been a competitive fight, I would probably say yes, you should get the instant rematch.
Yeah.
But dude, that was embarrassed. That was like.
Yeah, that's true. But who's
I
he
felt
fighting now,
for the
though?
man. It was like, God damn.
Well, since we're going over the whole title picture, let's just go over the top 5 and who we think they should fight next, legitimately. So if we're saying Usman and Colby fight, so who does Tyron fight then?
Robbie Lawler again, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because you got Lawler coming off the controversial loss. They're not going to run that fight
Maybe
back.
Ponzinibbio versus Woodley.
He's calling for that fight. Santiago's asking for that fight. Santiago Ponzinibbio. I don't know if Woodley.
I don't know if Woodley takes that just because he's like, fuck that guy. He pokes people in the eyes.
He's an eye.
He'll be straight up about it too.
Yeah.
Like straight up, he'll be like, fuck that guy.
And I think he feels like he's probably earned somewhat of a higher status than that.
So the big question is, where does this leave Ben Askren? You think that kind of pushes him to have to rematch Robbie now?
It doesn't help.
Because everyone else is kind of locked up right now. Unless Ali's to look at it, and we're going to look at numbers. Because now, if I'm Ben Askren now I really go out there and start campaigning for the title shot, like really, really bad. Because from a numbers standpoint, I know I get where you're coming from, but live in the era we live in right now. You're living in the Fertitas. Everyone gets what they deserve. You know the era we're living in right now. It's like people say if Oprah shits on a book, they'll sell 1 million copies. It's like if Ben Askren in the UFC right now, throw his name on any video, on any network, with any interview, and it's getting between 500,000 and 1 million views in the first 3 days, Yeah. So then you put him on the cover of a poster fighting for the championship of the world, and you've got him talking crap about Marty from Nebraska and building this narrative that he's built up, where also he's going to be avenging his teammate who he, just had a bad night, but Ben's always been there and been like, yeah, I'm a better version of him and everything like that. So that narrative is already there. And I think if Ben were to lose a fight, that wouldn't be there. So if you're Usman, I feel like this is the best chance to possibly capitalize on the biggest pay-per-view fight you'll have in the division. That's my take, at least.
I think that's a good take. I could see that happening. I wouldn't hate that as bad as if they try to. Like,
And then you do Colby and Woodley on the co-main event. Because that story's
has
already there,
traction.
too.
All right, that has traction.
That would sell.
Especially if you were to look at Colby as being still the interim title holder.
Yeah.
Like if you still give him that belt, which in my mind he still holds. Well, you took it away because his hand got hurt. I mean, stop the fucking nonsense. So he's the that's a prestigious fight for Woodley.
Yeah.
Because it would technically be like, especially think if someone will make it for the interim title belt. I know they can't. I'm just like theoretically.
June in Chicago.
For a belt, theoretically do that. I like that actually.
June in Chicago.
If they're gonna fuck Colby over yet again, fuck him over like that.
Or at International Fight Week.
Yeah. That's interesting. Speaking of International Fight Week, as a quick aside, did you hear the news? I only read it on one website that Conor went on CBS when I guess he dropped the puck at a big hockey game, gave some big motivational speech in Boston, and he said he's in negotiations for a fight here in July, which would be fucking here, International Fight Week. We might get Conor here.
In Boston?
Super dope. No, here in Nevada.
What?
He
was here?
in July. No, he was in Boston dropping the puck. He gets interviewed.
Oh,
he says, I'm in negotiations for a fight in July. The only fights that are big time in July is going to be International Fight Week right here.
Yeah, but everyone already knew that.
So, well, fuck you, man. I was just trying to share some news.
Everyone already knew that.
I didn't know that.
I've been telling you this.
That he's going to fight in International Fight Week?
Yeah, that's what was said last week with
this is
Dana
the first
White.
thing he's come out and said publicly about it at all.
Period. Well, they've also said the negotiations have stopped. So,
well, if they want to throw in Woodley versus Colby Covington and that, I'd be down with that. If like I said, swinging back to the other.
But
topic,
also,
Ben
doesn't want to fight on International Fight Week. He wants to fight in June in Chicago,
right?
Which would be also pretty cool. But Marty wants to fight in Nebraska. But it could end up as just Robbie and Ben again, I guess. Or maybe Stephen Thompson and Ben. I don't know.
Well, we got Stephen Thompson fighting next week, which doesn't even, because of who he's fighting, it doesn't really even play into the fucking title picture that we're talking about at all. But we can kind of shift into that because it's the next.
But what happens if he loses? That's the thing.
And what we mean, folks, if you don't know, Stephen Thompson is fighting Anthony Pettis, who's a lightweight, at a one-off. Pettis said he's only doing this one time.
He said he had no desire to go up to welterweight. He said both his teammates, Ben and Tyron Woodley, are 170. It wouldn't be right. And that he just wants to come up and fight Stephen Thompson because he likes the matchup and that he wants to show off his striking that brought him to the dance, he said.
To me, this is just stupid. I don't understand this.
Well, I mean, also, it's two guys later in their careers where they should be focusing is on how to get themselves back to the title before it's too late. But instead, they're having some weird fucking, almost like a catchweight bout when you think about it.
And he's still ranked in the top 5. Thompson's still ranked in the top 5.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
UFC welterweight rankings.
Stupid.
And he gets nothing with this fight.
Stupid, yeah.
If he wins, all they're going to say is, oh, you beat up a lightweight. Yay.
Congrats.
That didn't get you a title shot.
Yeah.
Like, he should be getting into the mix of one of these guys.
Exactly.
But instead, he's doing some
especially since Tyron Woodley is not holding the belt anymore.
Yeah.
If you're Stephen Thompson, you should be jumping at every big fight you can get. Yeah.
Yes. He should be out there making noise right now. Instead, he's fighting a lightweight that if he loses, what happens to him then?
Yeah, then he lost to a fucking
Anthony
lightweight.
Pettis goes back to lightweight, and Thompson
drops out of the top 10.
Yeah.
You know,
getting smoked by a dude that much smaller than you.
And a guy who at lightweight is in maybe top 10.
Right. He's been on a terrible run.
Look,
I love Pettis, but good God, man. What is he, like 2 and
I want to say he's
7 in his last 9, something like that? It's terrible.
I don't know if it's that far, but it's pretty
close
bad.
to that.
I think he might be like 5 and 5 in his last 10.
He's on a terrible, terrible fucking streak. You know, I'm going to check real quick. I'm going to open up a thing and see. He's, I mean, that's the other thing. Why would he risk this? Because if he loses here, then what does he... I mean, I guess he can say, well, yeah, I got beat by a guy bigger than me, but good grief, dude.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too, is like Thompson's not a small 170.
No, he's a large 170. He's 6'1".
Yeah.
Whereas, You know, Pettis is what, 5'10"?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 5'10", which is a good size for fucking lightweight. Okay, here he is. He is currently 21-7.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Probably has 5 of those losses in the last 2 years.
dating back here to his win over Gilbert Melendez. Okay, so he was on a streak. He beat Jeremy Stevens, Joe Lawson, Donald Cerrone, Benson Henderson, Gilbert Melendez, and he fought Dos
He was the
Anjos for
champion
title.
and then won.
Yeah, he won.
No, he won the championship against Benson Henderson,
Yeah, and then
defended,
he defended
against Gilbert Melendez, then lost
Then
to
he got
RDA.
his ass handed to him by RDA. Then he lost to Eddie Alvarez. Then he lost to Edson Barboza.
Yep.
Then he beat Charles Oliveira. Then he lost to Max Holloway. Then he beat Jim Miller. Then he lost to Dustin Poirier. Then he beat Chiesa. Then he lost to Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, so he's win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. He's like 5-5 in the last 5, dude. Something like that. Or last 10, sorry.
He's got 4 wins and 6 losses since the
Yeah.
Gilbert Melendez fight.
Last 10. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. From the fucking cover of Wheaties to then, if he loses this one, then he's gonna have back-to-back brutal losses. If like let's say Thompson lights him the fuck up, he's big, he could do
I
it.
think the UFC might think about letting him
He might
walk,
want to think about going to Bellator or somewhere like that,
or PFL.
or PFL.
We were talking about earlier.
I mean, PFL's legit now. They got $1 million tournament going
Yeah.
on. They got to deal with
Changes the
ESPN
game,
second
dude.
season. Like he could go there, but yeah, if he gets his ass handed to him here, what does he do?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't have an answer for that. If either guy loses, I don't know what they have, and I know if Thompson wins, so
exactly.
you're not getting pay-per-view points as a standard payday. I just don't get it. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
I'm not even that excited to watch it, honestly. I'm not trying to shit all over this fight. I don't get it.
I don't either. I
So-
think it was. They're like calling it a super fight too. That's like what they were saying before. That it's like a super fight. Like how?
I'm so sick of this. I'm done.
It's not a super fight.
I'm done with the super fight era. Please
Yeah.
shut the fuck up with the super fights. And
Exactly.
the champ fights. I don't even want to hear the term champ. I don't want to hear Conor McGregor say champ no more. I don't want to hear nobody say it. Fuck them. I'm done. I'm over it, dude. How about the #1 contender versus the champ? That's what I want. I was all for it. But it's too much. It's all everybody wants now. So that's definitely not a super fight. It's not a money fight. It's a fight.
It's a fight. All right. Well,
It's a fight.
let's transition over a little bit.
Well,
So-
here before we transition, let's just wrap up this welterweight title picture. Like, what do you want to happen? Like,
I already told you what I want.
that
to
is what
happen.
you want to see. You
That's-
want to see
yeah.
Askren get the title
Askren.
shot and Colby.
Colby fight Woodley.
I think anybody listening can tell what I want, and I want it not because I think Colby deserves it, because I like Colby Covington. It's like you got to clarify this. You don't want people to think, "Oh, he likes that guy that's racist." Like, I don't think he's racist. I think he's just a dipshit. Like he's just playing characters, people. But I don't really find it appealing. Like he's just a guy.
cringeworthy, dude.
And I'm not really a fan of his fighting. He's just a guy, but he's the #1 contender and the interim title holder. I think you have to somewhat at some point say this is a sport, and these titles have to mean something. So he has to fight Usman next. He should have fought Woodley, but now it's time for that. So I said it before. That's the end of that. Now transition into what, my friend?
Boxing last night. Errol
Boxing
Spence
last
Jr.
night. What was billed as the mega fight, which it really was.
It
but
was. Yeah, I mean, it was a.
It
Here's
just
the thing.
didn't get a lot of publicity,
Yeah.
man. It was overpriced on the pay-per-view. And let's be honest, if you watch that shit, the production was fucking shitty.
Was
Like,
it?
these guys are charging $75 for that. And that has nothing to do with the fighters. I'm talking the people putting on the pay-per-view, like the production team. That wasn't top quality pay-per-view. There's a lot of talk about that. And I would be really surprised. I hope for the fighters' sake, because I'm sure they get points that it sold big, but I don't think it did.
Yeah.
But the fight itself was wow.
Yeah, Errol Spence whooped his ass.
That was a masterclass. And
Yeah, he
it
just.
wasn't the way people kind of thought, which was
Yeah.
by knockout, because you got Garcia coming up. He's a much smaller guy.
Yeah.
He's coming up
undefeated. Yeah, like almost looking out of shape because he's had to gain so much weight for that
Yeah,
fight.
like he didn't look to be in the greatest shape. Like he didn't have a six-pack or anything going on.
Yeah.
'Cause he's putting on
Errol
so much
Spence
weight.
just Errol Spence his ass. He just does what he always does. Put that pace on him, put those body shots on him, and nobody fucking can handle it.
No,
Nobody.
That was an absolutely beautiful performance, man. So much pace, so much volume. And Garcia, you know, he hung in there, I guess, but he didn't win a single round on a single judge's scorecard. I mean, like, what do you think? Do you think they should have thrown in the towel?
There was also talk, and I want to say the 8th and the 10th, that they were going to throw the towel in. But I don't know. Here's the thing. Is in a fight like that, when you're going up in weight class and you're completely depleted and you're taking big shots like he was throwing, maybe throwing in the towel is not the worst idea. Live to fight another day. And I mean, obviously, Mikey's probably not too badly hurt now.
Right.
Like he didn't get like brutalized, but there was a couple times in that fight where he just wasn't answering anything, and it was just like, man, he's just getting ran over, and it was bad. Errol Spence did everything that everyone thought he was gonna do and more.
Yeah, except get the knockout. I mean, people thought that he, but I think, and we were talking about.
I think it was better for him not to get the knockout though, because he just fucking outclassed him, made it look easy.
There you go, exactly.
It was a great performance for sure. And then guess what happens after that? Fucking Manny Pacquiao steps in the ring talking about they're gonna fight next.
That came out of left field for me. What do you think about that? That surprises me.
I don't like that because there's definitely fights that are on the table that he should take. Like, I would love to see the Terrence Crawford fight. I would love to see... I mean, although Terrence Crawford's fighting Amir Khan, it's still like, why not wait a second, Errol Spence? Why not show up at that fight and then pitch that fight to those dudes? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even Sean Porter, he could fight him. Or Keith Thurman, who just came back. Why not, you know? There's bigger names and there's better fights than Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao's a big name, but he is over the hill. He was good in the Broner fight, but you could still see the age, you know?
You sure could, man. Absolutely. And man,
Spence is a fucking world beater, too.
Yeah, he's tough and
he's
strong,
and he's in his prime.
Absolutely. I think if they fight, he will fuck Manny Pacquiao up.
He's gonna fuck him up.
That's gonna be the one where Pacquiao's age
really gonna show. Oh yeah, he's gonna get beat up to the body. Pacquiao has never took shots like that to the body like he's going to against Errol Spence. Errol Spence is just so. Not only is he selective, but he's so like he has so many various punches that he can throw, and he lands them all. That's the thing. Like, his body shots are fucking devastating.
Absolutely.
Like, just devastating.
Well, this fight, I found it really entertaining. And it's something that you and I, this fight's been on our personal radar here for quite some time, of course, because we wrote an article in the brand new Slugfest magazine, which featuring Roy Jones on the cover. You can look that up on Amazon right now, folks, or at slugfest.com. Or you can go to Amazon, search in Slugfest magazine. You can grab it there. And we had a featured article in there about this fight.
Yeah.
Now, we write a weekly column on the website portion of the magazine here, but this was the first magazine that came out in print form. This is issue number 1, big interviews with Roy Jones in there, of course, like we mentioned. And then we did a full-page article on this fight. So we had a lot of the history between these two guys. You know,
and I don't think this hurts Mikey Garcia's legacy at all.
No, it wasn't what I wanted to see. I mean,
it was just a challenge, you know?
We both picked Spence to win. So
I think Mikey Garcia has unfinished business also with Lomachenko.
Yeah, he needs to get better down there, and that's the fights they should be worrying about. Dude's his own size.
Yeah.
And down there, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's what's next for him. I think Lomachenko, Mikey Garcia is the next fight to make.
Even coming off a loss like that, you don't. I think so too, because it was up so much.
Maybe you give it. Maybe Mikey takes a warm-up fight just to make the weight again.
Yeah.
Just to get back into that shape, but I don't think.
Make sure he's.
I think the Lomachenko fight's on the horizon. Is what I'm saying. And then for Errol Spence, after this fight, I would like to see the winner of Terrence Crawford versus Amir Khan next after this Pacquiao fight, I guess.
I'm down with that. I like that. That's pretty good, man.
I don't think Amir Khan has much chance. So basically what I'm trying to say is I want Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence to fight. I think that is the fucking fight to make, man. I want that fight so bad. Like, I need that fight.
Yeah, that's a fight that excites me too. Absolutely, dude.
I just need them to keep
Man,
winning though, so they can fight each other. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, folks, sometimes throughout this episode, you might have heard this. That's just me hitting my one hitter because I got to smoke on that thing today, so I got to tap it, and that's just a noise we got to deal with. And we're going to take a little break here. Paul's going to fire up this torch. You might hear that in the background, but the show is smoking weed and talking MMA, so damn it, dude, we got to smoke some weed here. I'm digging this blend, man. I'm going to start rolling my own weed blends into joints and featuring them on the show here. What I mean by that, folks, is I'm going to take like strains and blend them together known for their effects or for their terpene profiles. And like take like a Dream Queen and a Super Lemon Haze, which go together real well, or a Dream Queen and a Jack Herrera. And then just take a half gram of each, grind it up, mix it together real nice, and then roll it up. Call it my own personal blend and see how those go. So I was just telling the folks while you were firing up that torch, I'm going to start doing some blends for our shows. See how those go. I wish I could join you in that sour diesel, dude. That's my favorite strain. It's not quite the same as Shatter, but as Flower, it's my fucking favorite. Yeah. That's a cool-ass rig you got today, dude.
Thanks, man.
What is it called when it's like flips out like this? Is there a name for that? A bucket?
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, here we go. Little smoke at the screen you're watching on YouTube. That's a pretty cool dab rig. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check it out. All right, feeling a little bit better now. A little bit better now. Dude, you know, we've talked a lot on this show about DAZN and kind of made fun of it for a lot of their Bellator stuff and their silly name. But, you know, with some of this boxing moves that they've been making could influence some of these fights that we're seeing here, too. Because they're making moves to sign some of these other guys.
Well, did you see
you know, depending on how this...
Deontay Wilder met with DAZN this week.
Yeah. And I think the results of this pay-per-view between Garcia and Spence Jr. is going to dictate
be a catalyst
some people's decisions there. Because I'm thinking it's not going to sell well. And there's nothing to do with the fighters and everything to do with the price and the promotion of the fight itself.
Yep.
And that could make these streaming deals where these boxers are signing with these
Well,
streaming
look at like
services
Tyson Fury with
really,
ESPN Plus. I think streaming service is the new model in the entire. There's like, it's the new model for sports.
Yeah, the UFC is eventually going to wind up that way too, especially if boxing sees a success with it. You know.
Well, the UFC's kind of already dabbled in it with the Fight Pass.
Yeah, they got their Fight Pass, and now we've got ESPN Plus, and it'll take a long time.
Well, I'm saying when they put the cards on
the
there,
UFC's is a private company, but
yeah, the ESPN Plus when the cards are on there, they're kind of like it measures how much money they can make with that. You know, so it. You know what I'm saying? Like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're already trying to see what they can do.
That's going to be exciting to watch how that fucking plays out here.
For real.
Because I'm really behind anything that gets these fighters more money and lets us as fans experience things for a little bit less of a price. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, that was a dope fight last night. $75 is a hit in the fucking pocket to watch a fucking boxing match, dude. Like, come on.
And a super one-sided one like that.
Like, this isn't like...
That's like people back in the day that wouldn't buy Tyson fights because they'd be too quick.
This isn't like a cultural event fight like Tyson Spinks or some shit from back in the day where everybody was like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" This is like, it's just a good, solid, really high level boxing match. And you're asking so much fucking money. Like, I don't know how many average casual boxing fans are buying that shit for $75. I just don't.
Yeah.
I hope that these
same thing
services come through.
Yeah. That's kind of the best way to go at this point.
Fuck yeah.
Because then a lot of them have like contracts where they're getting paid flat rates like per fight. Like that's where at least MMA goes. Boxing's always been that way, but you know that's where MMA needs to take it. Where fighters are like the win and show. Like money is so stupid. Like the weigh in and then show. Weigh in and then win bonus. Like it should all be one. Like you should only get paid one, like flat rate. Like the
absolutely
stupid.
It's boxers and were smart enough to negotiate a lot of that into their contracts, and UFC fighters need to do the same. They should quit signing these win and show, or the show and win money. That's you can't lose half your check because you lost the fight, man. That's crazy.
Stupid.
It's crazy. So
stupid as fuck.
But that boils back down to unionization.
Yeah.
And getting shit together. It was like I was chiming in on Twitter this week about that. There was a fighter online talking about how he thought it was bullshit that he's in an industry that's worth billions of dollars. Like the UFC sold for, $4.3 billion, and he doesn't have health insurance for like his family.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah. That is bullshit. Unionize. That's why you should unionize, dude. That's the whole reason you should have collective bargaining, my man. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, sign them fucking cards. Do it.
There should be someone there to vent you when all these things happen.
Leslie Smith made a big effort to fucking get those cards signed. All they had to do was fucking get cards signed. Enough to fucking get the ball rolling. Mm-hmm. And she winds up getting cut, and nobody fucking signed them damn cards, obviously.
And now she's kind of in an obscure place right now.
Exactly. It's fucked up, but that's what's got to happen for these guys, man.
Stupid.
Well, I think that probably wraps up our boxing talk, right? It's going to shift us into one of my favorite segments, our fighters who smoke. Mm-hmm. Once again, we got somebody a little bit different. This is an ex-fighter again this week, but he's a former MMA fighter, and now he's a current wrestler. I'm talking about one Matthew Riddle. Now, he's not a real big name in the sport. Matt Riddle, a lot of people might not know who he is. But he burst into the scene. It was, what was it, Paul? It was Tough 7.
Yeah, he had like one of the nastiest knockouts to get into the house.
Oh, he did, yeah.
The dude was like,
he was moaning.
Tripping.
Yeah, he got hit. He hit him in the jaw, then he fell down. I remember he landed on the canvas, and then he hit him like 3 more times. And I wound up broken his jaw in like 2 places. And he was making these awful sounds.
It was crazy.
Yeah, these awful moaning sounds.
Yeah. Even Rampage was like, whoa.
Yeah, Rampage called it one of the nastiest knockouts he'd ever seen.
Like he couldn't breathe, that's what it sounded like. It was
Riddle,
crazy.
Yeah, it sounded scary. I distinctly remember it like, oh my God. And Riddle is big as a welterweight. This is a welterweight season.
Yeah.
He's 6'2" and is fighting at 170 pounds. He's a pretty big, tall dude. And he only had 1 amateur fight before going straight into fucking tough, man. He wasn't like a lifelong martial artist. He was a wrestler in fucking college. And then he heard about, MMA and wound up getting the dude ready for a fight, and then just kind of broke into the scene. And he's no longer in mixed martial arts at all. He's now a wrestler.
The WWE.
Yeah, I don't know my wrestling. I don't watch that stuff. But, he's like in one of the WWE's like lower tier programs.
Yeah, NXT.
But he's coming up the ranks. Like I've been following him for a little while now. I know through in the wrestling world he's really climbing up. Like he's a young up and comer that's about to hit that big stage.
Yeah.
He's got kind of a silly persona, some kind of bro thing. I don't know. I'm not into that whole shit. But it's relevant that he's not a fighter anymore, because he's not a fighter as a direct result of smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Like, he was cut by the UFC on a 4-fight win streak. If it weren't for his weed, losses, his overturns, he would have finished in the UFC at 9-3 on a 4-fight win streak. Like, that's really impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But what happened was, this was back in, well before the US ADA. And this is back in the days when testosterone therapy exemptions were still allowed.
Yeah.
And marijuana was not at all. Like, there was no fucking bullshit on the weed. And so he tests positive for weed. We're talking nanograms here. And then so his win gets overturned, and Dana gets mad. And then it happens to him again. And Dana gets really fucking pissed off. And in between these two things, he starts making some noise in media interviews, because he actually had a prescription for weed at the time. He was living here in Las Vegas, and this is a state that has medical cannabis. Okay?
At the time, yeah.
And these fighters that were using testosterone replacement therapy, That's steroids.
Yeah,
It's a banned substance. Okay,
Literally steroids.
You're literally like, and they're doing it with a doctor's note, which is the same thing that Matt Riddle has for weed. And so he begins pointing this out, and he's saying, look, these guys are fucking using banned substances, literal performance-enhancing drugs, because they have a note from a doctor. I'm using weed in my fucking personal life to control my fucking moods and to help me. Like, he used weed to maintain a little bit of, like, mental clarity and to keep he bounces up and down. You know what I mean? He had fucking issues where he's just all over the place, fucking emotionally. Weed fucking dialing him in. You know what I mean? Making him feel like he can concentrate and do shit. Yeah. And he's like, I'm using weed in my fucking personal life, and I have a doctor's note. These guys are using performance-enhancing drugs in the cage, and this is bullshit. And Dana gets all fucking mad. And then he fails his second fucking drug test, and Dana goes on Fox Sports and just trashes him. Calls him a fucking idiot, a fucking moron. He's never going to fight in the UFC again. He's just a fucking stoner and a dumbass. And he gets cut. He gets cut from the fucking UFC on a 4-fight win streak, fighting in the top 10, all right, just having had his third kid.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for marijuana.
Jesus.
Like, yeah, so it's fucked up. So he thinks, he's like, he knows at that point in time that he's a top 10 fighter in the UFC, which probably means realistically you can go to some other promotions and fucking be a champion. It ultimately, for whatever reasons, it doesn't work out for him. Like, he signs with Bellator, he never winds up fighting for them and gets cut. He goes to another organization, and I can't remember what happened there, but he finds his way into wrestling.
Yeah.
He finds a little bit of a character and a persona there, and then he just kind of blows the fuck up. Like, he's much bigger now. He's 212 to 220 pounds. Like, he's from 170, dude. Like, he's a big fucking...
He's on TRT
He's
now.
A big old dude, right?
He's like, fuck it. If they can use it, so can I. Give me that
doctor's note. He's got this king of bros. I think that's what they call him now, like the king of bros. But he was one of the only fighters, I think, in the history of the UFC who was an outspoken proponent of marijuana. And for medical fucking purposes. It wasn't just like
yeah.
I mean, Nick and Nate are known for their weed, but they're not out there hawking it, saying they're just getting high and whatever, having a good time. They're not really on the medical side. Like, he was out there talking about, this is a medical thing I'm using in my personal life. And
kind of like John Fitch.
Yeah. And he's kicked the fuck out of the UFC over it, and then winds up just stopping MMA totally. Yeah. Which probably works out better for him. I know that the wrestling, even though I don't really watch it and it's fucking fake, I know those dudes are in shape, and they got to fucking, it's hard work.
Yeah.
Like, and he's out on the road.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's fucking grinding. It's not like he had some big, huge name where they just, like Ronda just gets to walk right onto the fucking stage. Yeah. This is a dude, he had to go out and start, like, in the local gyms on some fucking bullshit local show, with 6 fucking wrestling fanatics in the gymnasium clapping him on. Yeah. And he's fucking worked his way all the way up to just on the cusp of stardom in the fucking WWE. Yeah. And I think that's pretty dope. And that's a dude that sacrificed it for fucking weed. Like,
it's pretty sick.
Yeah. So
I wonder if he still gets drug tested for weed in the WWE, because people have got suspended in WWE for weed.
That would be interesting. I don't know what their drug testing is like.
I don't know what it is now.
I don't follow them at all. And I only know what I know about him just because I researched his career there a bit. Yeah. Because... Well, I mean, I'm a fucking cannabis advocate, and this dude got kicked out. It was the craziest shit I'd ever fucking seen. And so the point now where, like, weed is so commonly accepted, there's people that don't even know who he is. They're like, who the fuck is Matt Riddle? Like, actually, he's kind of an important figure on the cannabis side of MMA because he's the only person that's happened to. And he certainly would have been fighting in major fights in the UFC had they not done that to him. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
And it was because he took a stand against what ultimately happened with testosterone replacement therapy. Yeah, they're like, okay, shit, it's fucking steroids. Whoops, sorry. USADA come in and they cut that shit right the fuck out. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And now you've got Nevada that's lowered their nanogram testing all the way down to, pretty minuscule levels. You literally got to smoke a joint pretty much before you walk on the fucking...
Walk into
the cage to fucking to disqualify yourself at that point. So... Yeah. That dude took a hit for the team back in the day, and then he found success in another arena. So kudos to fucking Matt Riddle, our fighter who smokes this week. Best of luck to that dude out there in the fake wrestling world. Sorry, all you wrestling lovers. I just can't do it. Oh, man. Right. You mentioned something earlier, Paul, that I want to kind of just talk a little bit more about this PFL thing, like the Professional Fighters League. Like,
I feel like it's gonna change the marketplace.
they kind of made real quietly a
Huge
fucking
moves.
move. Like,
Huge.
if people don't know where the origins, it used to be the World Series of Fighting.
Yeah.
And the World Series of Fighting had some fucking troubles.
Yeah.
And they had to get rid of a lot of management. And then they had to kind of rebirth as the
Rebirth
Professional
as the
Fighters League,
PFL.
which incorporates a tournament-style format.
It's a season.
Which crowns a winner.
Like,
it's a season of fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
like
crowns
a-
a winner at the end of the season gets what, $1 million?
$1 million.
And I
on
believe
New
they pay
Year's
some sort of
Eve.
salary to these guys through the course of the season, right?
Yeah.
Well, what did they do that was the big deal?
They pay with $1 million.
And well, what was the other thing that made them more legit?
Oh, they signed with the ESPN.
Yeah, like out of the blue.
Yeah.
Fucking signed a deal with ESPN, which
Well, here's why I feel like it's going to change the market. Because think about it this way. Whether you're a young fighter or an old fighter, if you're on the cusp of being a UFC guy and you go out and you win $1 million, when you negotiate a contract with the UFC, you have leverage because you've been there, done that. Like, man, I've already fought for $1 million. I know what it's like.
Solid fucking
I
point,
I know
dude,
what it's
yeah.
like. I know what margins you guys have to pay motherfuckers like me. You know.
Yeah, you can
So,
sign somebody.
You're not gonna sign me some bullshit ass contract. Yeah, I'm. Or why not just go back and win it again? You know what I'm
You
saying?
can stay in the PFL.
It's fucking smart.
That's very smart.
Changes the marketplace for a lot of fighters. Like, think about someone like Jake Shields. Imagine if Jake Shields won that tournament.
That changes.
That's
this
an
whole
FU to
negotiating
everyone
power,
else who
yeah.
wouldn't pay him and made him go to like a lower level
Organization, yeah, for
organizations.
sure.
You know,
Dude, that does change it up.
changes the game 100%.
It also gives a spot for some, like take someone
And
like.
then on the other side, if you're a young guy, it
Yes, I was gonna say yeah.
puts your name up there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's a big deal.
Like, think about it. Ryan Bader only got paid like $250,000 for that fight against Fedor and winning that tournament.
Yeah.
Imagine if Ryan Bader was in PFL, he would have smashed everyone in that
Just
fucking
smashed
heavyweight
through that
tournament
shit and won $1 million.
and won $1 million.
And whatever wage they get through the course. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I just wonder what the pay scale is during the season.
Yeah, they're not releasing that info. But for them to have enough fighters that want to stick around and come in and do a season 2 and new fighters coming in, we got Kayla Harrison coming in, the women's lightweight, which is a brand new division.
Sarah Kaufman is going
Sarah
in there
Kaufman coming in there. That could be a fucking
big
you could
fight.
be 2 finalists right there.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. So that's exciting, dude. Signing with fucking ESPN too. I wonder
Yeah,
how the
that's
UFC
huge.
feels about that.
I wonder too, because it kind of takes the allure of the UFC being on ESPN away.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of like, we're the premier mixed martial arts and we're on the premier channel. Like, not so fast, motherfucker.
I mean, they're
we're on
probably
here
going to be
too.
on what, ESPN 2 or something like that.
Well, it said they're going to be on ESPN, all the ESPN platforms.
They're going to throw them on all the
Yeah.
platforms. Probably the finals on the main ESPN. Yeah, that takes some shine off the UFC for sure.
Yeah, because then people who are casual fans could get the two confused.
Right.
Although UFC is the general name, they could watch a PFL event and not even realize they're watching.
Well, there's plenty of people that still watch a fight every now and then that refer to MMA as watching UFC.
Yeah,
Any
exactly.
MMA fight.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like, oh, he does UFC? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And PFL could easily get that rub. Oh, look, there's guys doing UFC.
Well, and then also you could, if you're a hardcore fan, you watch these fights and you watch these PFL guys on ESPN and they do extremely well, you're gonna start to compare and contrast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you on Saturday night, if at 4:00 there's a PFL event and at 6:00 there's a UFC event, you're not gonna not watch the one at 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like say there's
That's
one
what
on
I
a
would
Friday,
think.
Saturday. Like if you're a legit MMA fan, there's no way you're not gonna watch both of them if they're readily and available. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I feel like it's gonna put a lot more shine on their fighters, and it's gonna. I feel like the moves they've made are kind of gonna change the market here. Now with the ONE FC coming up there too, it's like
Yeah, ONE
shit's
FC got
changing.
their
ONE
TV
FC's
deal.
paying motherfuckers
ONE
too.
FC's throwing that investor cash around. So
Because then I
Word.
want to say fucking Eddie Alvarez, he had like over $100 million contract.
that's what he said. He claimed to have.
It was like a $136 million contract.
Yeah.
like that's fucking basketball numbers. You know
I
what I'm
hope
saying?
that's legit. That might be like all bonuses and everything included, but who knows? But whatever it is, I hope that's it, dude. Pay that man.
Yeah, pay that
Man his money. Well, shit, man. That probably wraps up our show for the day, don't you think?
Yep.
Been a good episode. Our 30th episode. We're 30 episodes in, man.
Yeah.
We're cruising along, man. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Everybody tuning in, man. We've watched our show grow over these 30 episodes from, I remember that first week. It might have even been the first 3 weeks. At a grand total of like, it was under 200
Shit got
listeners.
crazy right off the bat, man. We were like, our first episodes right after Tony Ferguson tripped on the wire and fucking tore his LCL.
And right now, when you look across all of our various platforms right now, we're coming in at about 30,000 people listening to our little MMA show, and we appreciate all of you for doing that.
Thanks, guys.
Whether you're listening on WBUZ 95, which is on radio.net, the Orange Radio app, we're airing there on Thursday nights, 6 p.m. out here in Vegas. It's going to be 9 p.m. on the East Coast. We're, of course, on iTunes. We're on Google Play. We're on video on YouTube. All that shit. You can find out everything at SWATMMA.com.
Go on there and click on the gear button and support your podcast and grab a shirt while you're at it.
Absolutely. We got shirts up there. We got hats on the way. We got some stickers coming. Just fun things we're trying to do. If you like the podcast, definitely give us a little support. Thanks, everybody.
Drop a like button. Drop a comment if you're not a dick. See you later.
Peace.